identifying sides and the Pythagorean theorem case. This may be a review for some of you, but it's a pretty important thing to understand. The Pythagorean theorem is probably one of the top most important theorems in all of mathematics, so that's why we always go over it. It applies to a lot when it comes to the geometry and trigonometry. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over our identifying our sides. So first off, first thing I always start with is I figure out where the right angle is, because the Pythagorean theorem only works with right triangles. So I see I have a right angle here, so I'm going to go across from there. And when you go across, you will always find the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is always across from the 90-degree angle. Okay, next I identify where is my given angle. In this case, you see this little arc right here. This is the given angle. So I go to the given angles and I go across the triangle, and here is what is known as the opposite side, which leaves one last one, which is known as the adjacent side. So across from the 90 degrees, the hypotenuse. Across from the given angle is the opposite, which leaves the third side as the adjacent. So let's try that on another triangle. Alright, so here we have our triangle. Here's my 90-degree angle. Go across. We're going to find my hypotenuse. Here's my given angle. Go across. You find your opposite. And the third one is the adjacent side. Okay, so you need to remember this is critical for what we're going to do for the rest of our unit. Make sure you know how to identify the hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. It's so important to know which one is which. So make sure you take some time to study and know what this is. The first 14 questions, I think, on your assignment are all about just identifying the sides. And then next, we're going to talk about this right here. This is the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a, b, and c are all sides of a triangle. Okay? Important to know that your hypotenuse is always the c. When we talk about a squared plus b squared equals c squared, the c is always the hypotenuse. Always, always, always. And then your a and your b, it doesn't matter. We could say a is here and b is here, or we could say it the other way. It's not a big deal because both of those are just legs, and since we're adding them, it doesn't matter what order you do it. You add in. So a and b can be interchangeable. You can put whichever one you want for a and b. Now that doesn't mean that you can switch opposite and adjacent places. It just means a and b could be either one of those. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to put that into practice. Alright, so here, first off, let's identify where's my hypotenuse, where's my adjacent angle. Let's say that this is my given angle. This right here would be my hypotenuse. Across from the given angle would be my opposite. Leave this as my adjacent. Alright, so now let's actually find the missing angle, x, which is my hypotenuse, and that means it's got to be, this is c, and it doesn't matter. We'll make this a and this b. Okay, so we have a squared. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Alright, so a is 14.2 in this example. So 14.2 squared plus b, which is my 9.5 squared, equals c squared. What you see in this case was x. I didn't know what it was. Alright? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and square these. So let's go ahead and get out your calculator. Let's do 14.2 squared. And I get 201.64 plus 9.5 squared gets me 90.25. So add those together and you'll get your x squared. So 90.25 plus 201.64. That gives me 291.89 equals x squared. But I don't want to know what x squared is. I want to know what x is. So to get rid of that squared, I have to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to take that 291.89. Let's go ahead and hit the square root button, and I get 17.08 is my missing side. And that's always got to be the longest side. Hypotenuse is always the long side. So let's take a look. Does that make sense? Is 17.8 bigger than those two? Yes, it is. So that is my hypotenuse right there. Okay? Alright. Now let's take a look at what happens if I am given the hypotenuse but not the legs. Well, I kind of gave it away right there. My hypotenuse is straight across, so that's going to be my C. Let's go ahead and make this A and this B. Okay, so we got a squared, which in this case is x squared, plus b squared, which is 10.9 squared, equals c squared, which is 15.5 squared. Now we could do it like we did on the other problem and square these out, or we can wait and just put it all in the calculator at once. What I mean by that is, well, let's go ahead and isolate the x squared. So I'm going to minus 10.9 squared from both sides. And I get x squared equals 15.5 squared minus 10.9 squared. And now to get rid of the squared, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And I'm going to say x equals the square root of 15.5 squared minus 10.9 squared. Okay? And now you can put this all into your calculator at once and see what you get. So let's go ahead and put that in. So we've got square root of 15.5 squared minus 10.9 squared, and I get 11.019, so basically 11.02. And there is, did I say 09? 019, so yeah, rounded. Okay, and so you can do it that way, or you can break it down at the very beginning and figure out what 10.9 squared is and 15.5 squared is and just deal with decimals. Either way works, whatever you prefer. I just wanted to let you see how it would work to not use your calculator until the end. Okay, and then last, gave it away again. Anyway, the last. We want to see if this is really a right triangle or not. I know this is a terrible drawing. I am not a very good artist. However, let's go ahead and see. The question is, how do I identify which one's going to be my A, B, and C? Well, C, the hypotenuse, is always the biggest side. It's always the longest side. So 18, 24, and 27. Well, 27 is the longest, so I'm going to assign that as the C. In A and B, doesn't matter. We can put them however we want. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug it into the Pythagorean theorem and see if it actually is a right triangle. So we're going to do 18 squared plus 24 squared equals 27 squared. Okay, so I'm going to do 18 squared plus 24 squared in my calculator. And I get 900 equals, let's put 27 squared into my calculator, and I get 729. Okay, if they are right triangles, these two numbers should equal each other, because that's what the formula is. Do these equal each other? They do not. Therefore, no, this is not a right triangle. But if you work one out and you get these two numbers equal to each other, like if this was really a 30 squared, and we had 900 equals 900, then yes, it would be an actual right triangle. So basically, just plugging it in and seeing if they equal each other. Okay, and that's kind of a lot. Hopefully this was more of a review for you. So go ahead and work on your assignment and go ahead and let me know if you have any questions.